Okay, thank you. All right. Well, hello, council and staff. I actually haven't met a few of you, so consider this a little brief introduction. I'm Ann Soule, Resource Manager with Public Works, and I feel lucky to present a report to you tonight full of positives, summarizing the actions staff have been busy with for the past year related to sustainability and resiliency. Attached to your agenda cover is a detailed report, but my presentation tells the story by covering just the highlights with lots of pictures. With the exception of this slide full of words. Quickly, first, a quick overview of the hazards we're talking about. Flooding, fire, smoke, water supply, snowpack, disease. The traditional hazards associated with these things are exacerbated with climate change, and standard city operations respond to traditional hazards. So we're not really talking about new things we need to do when we respond to the impacts from climate change, just connecting the dots and staying on top of our planning. Staff takes direction from the 2012 resolution on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and the 2016 resolution on improving sustainability and resiliency. We chose the framework shown here of categories of best practices from the California Institute for Local Government. Having such a framework helps us generate ideas and remember to integrate sustainability into our practices. So let's get started. First off, efficient transportation. Here we're talking about streets and infrastructure, not vehicles themselves. Big picture, smart transportation minimizes idling, backtracking in vehicles, and encourages active transportation for health and clean air. Transportation-wise, you can't get more efficient than online meetings. I know you were just talking about how exciting all that is. We've all learned a lot, but you may remember when the pandemic first started, there were news stories of clear skies in LA, clean water in Venice, Italy, and birdsong in downtown Manhattan. Our West First Street project is a complete street because of features that encourage active transportation like walking and biking. It also offers an efficient alternative to West Washington. Many actions result in multiple benefits. Okay, on to renewable energy and low carbon fuels. Our biggest clean energy project is the 50 kilowatt solar installation, done this year with COVID protocols, which started to generate renewable energy by June. We can track production online, and there's a new link on our website to some of these displays. The data shows for this past week, this is actually today, the 13th of October, or I'm sorry, the 12th of October, with our higher amount of production than any other day in the last 7. Here's the 8th and 9th look like we had quite a bit of clouds those days, and production was very low. And then on October 6th, we had what looks like a bluebird day with no clouds. Over on this chart, it shows that August was our biggest producing month, better than July, and then September, I would imagine the smoke in the air really impacted what we got in September. And October was just barely started. So, switching to low carbon fuels. This shows the ribbon cutting for our EV charging stations with our partner Clallam PUD. We have an online dashboard for these facilities as well. And the data here is for the third quarter. These 3 lines show in blue the energy consumed, the green is the cost reflective of that energy consumed, and then the black is our revenue. We actually made more revenue in this past quarter than we spent, and that's unusual, but apparently some folks sort of forgot that their car was plugged in, and if you have it plugged in longer than the first 3 free hours, then you get charged. Your credit card gets charged a fee. There were about 92 transactions last quarter, so that's averaging 1 per day. Also, in the past year, we got 2 new hybrid police cars, and we expect our first propane pickup truck to be delivered very soon. Okay, water and wastewater. A highlight here is the West First Street project, which features a range of green gardens that treat stormwater, keeping our stormwater filtered. Also, in general, additional vegetation and trees in the city help absorb carbon and offset emissions. Finally, I don't have a picture of it, but it's a really big deal that the sewer to Blinn was connected this year, allowing all that wastewater to be treated to Class A standards. On to energy efficiency and conservation. All of our facility upgrades save energy thanks to more sophisticated modern technology. This is a screenshot of our new Cartograph asset management system launched by Public Works starting last month, and we'll be gaining steam on that and gaining a lot of efficiency with that. Waste reduction and recycling. Online bill pay is another example that conducting business electronically is good for the environment. 1/3 of our utility customers use it now, and that's up 50% from last year. Also, we installed 2 Big Belly trash recycling stations and 9 water filling stations around town. And a special note that these 2 were chosen by voters in the initial People's Project last year. And they're both sustainability oriented, encouraging more recycling and less disposable water bottles. And it's just evidence that people like this stuff. We send a How to Recycle Right flyer to all our residents and offer free fridge magnets at our front counters, which we hopefully will be open again soon. Climate-friendly purchasing. I wanted to point out here that the snows of 2020 allowed staff to implement special training they got after the 2019 snows on how to manage snow and ice with less impact to the budget and the environment. Green building. A big improvement in this area is the new development engineer position that started this year. This person has a bigger field presence during development, so we're more likely to catch potential water pollution and other code violations. These pictures are showing runoff from a construction site if it isn't caught before it runs off into the storm drain. And then in the second picture, silt fencing is the way to capture that and reduce water pollution. The final category of best practices has to do with community and individual action. And first on this one, I want to highlight the leadership the city continues to take related to the pandemic. From standing up the ECC at Guy Cole with our partners to coordinating with food delivery partners and keeping parks open as we're allowed with sanitizing protocols. Our monthly newsletters and social media posts provide trustworthy information, sometimes lighthearted. Perhaps you saw the stuff on the face mask fashion, which was fun. Sequim is very strong on communications, and our newsletters often cover sustainability, water conservation, composting, recycling, health and wellness support, and more. Switching gears to emergency planning, both these important community plans address hazards, including those resulting from the slow-growing emergency of climate change that increases the probability of wildfire, smoke pollution, flooding, and more. Another planning effort coming up is with the NODC, the North Olympic Development Council, which got a grant to assist cities in the 2 counties in our area with climate-specific planning. That may be an opportunity for us to get some assistance. Finally, speaking of resiliency, it's coincidence that I'm giving this talk about resiliency of our city operations and infrastructure during October because it is Sequim Resilience Awareness Month. And I think it's important to point out that the city is taking leadership in this area as well, establishing task forces and committees with community partners ready to engage on these big issues. Good partnerships make for more resiliency regardless of what type you're talking about. In summary, what meaning can we make of all this? We are making progress toward improving long-term sustainability and resiliency within city operations as well as the community. That said, it's true we are so far not doing a greenhouse gas inventory to track specific tons of carbon released or saved, but we are implementing actions we consider to be low-hanging fruit. This infographic that was also in your handouts shows typical types of emissions for typical city operations and their relative contributions. We seek improvement in all areas, but it's important to know where we'll get the biggest bang for the buck, which is continuing to increase our energy efficiency and use of renewables in our buildings, maintaining the water reclamation facility, and transitioning our fleet to low or no carbon fuels. So from buzzwords to basics, we want to call what we're doing what it really is, which is risk management. Cities are on the front line of climate resilience, and fortunately, City of Sequim staff works as a team to reduce exposure to risk, always looking for improvement, and we think lane. That's all the slides I've got, and I'm happy to take questions, if that would be helpful.
This is Tom. I have a quick question for you. I used to be in the scientific business relative to finding materials for polymers that had no styrenes and so on. And after millions of dollars, we realized that the answers were inadequate in terms of keeping airplane wings together. So we always run into this trade-off. And when I see the electric car fueling stations and you say there's revenue, do we pay for that equipment?
So let's see, those went in about a year ago, and the way we did that was actually the PUD had the property 2 or 3 blocks down, and the city wanted to get involved in it, but we weren't sure we wanted to use up parking spaces in our, really our central located parking lots. Didn't want to exclude non-electric vehicles from any of our parking spaces, so we partnered with the PUD. They purchased the property and they purchased the equipment after we decided what we wanted. We have taken over the ownership of the equipment, and we pay the monthly electric bill for it. And it's, yeah. Does that answer?
Well, it's just, it's more of a statement than a question. Maybe you have some thoughts on it, but if that equipment has to be depreciated and replaced and so on, and that material gets disposed of in some fashion, maybe recycled or whatever. But when you look at something from a cost effectiveness, do you look at the disposal, the capitalization, interest values and so on, obsolescence? Just a general question.
I would generally say yes, we do, and I know that we've got capital facility plans, and that's another way that our asset management program is going to help us with life cycle costs. But Sue came up here, and I know Matt Klontz is also here. Okay. You guys want to talk?
I will defer. Ann, really, I don't have anything to add.
I guess it's just something we just need to take into consideration.
Yes.
The whole life cycle cost is a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's certainly part of the program, and we have a capital improvement program. Our CIP is on a 6-year cycle, but it's actually looking out 20 years. It doesn't just look out 6. It looks out 20. We have replacement expectations as part of that. And again, we're pretty excited about this cartograph, which is going to we'll be able to keep records more efficiently and see when things are due for replacement or repair and then avoid replacement in the long run. As far as disposal goes, I know that when things are needing to be disposed of, we use, we have some resources there. I don't know if things are reused or auctioned or surplused or whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. I'll just add that we have a surplus policy that requires us to either auction it off or dispose of it properly. Yeah, we can't, as a city, just get rid of stuff, right? So there is a policy and a process for surplusing all of that stuff.
By the LCC, if you're doing that kind of analysis, and the better at that we can get, the more we get stuff that really pays off, helps the environment, doesn't fill up a junkyard someday. You know, it's really important to consider all that. And I don't know what your LCC model is, but we used to use very in-depth models relative to that for aircraft parts, pallets on airplane cargoes where you had to tear the balsa wood apart, throw the aluminum away, and it just drove you crazy. And it's part of the cost. And I think people sometimes move too fast on certain things without understanding the LCC. So I think it's important. That's all. Thank you.